morning, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day today. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Delta Team Tactical Warship. This is based off of the Arrow EPC9 upper and lower receiver, and it is, of course, the ever-popular, for some reason, AR9. Before we get into this, the biggest sponsor of the channel is Callaway Ballistics. They send us ammunition for free, which is awesome. Most of the 9mm that you're going to see in this video, 115 grain, 124 grain match, and 147 grain subsonic, was supplied by Callaway. And of course, you can use code FOCUS to save yourself some money. And of course, if you want to get something from me, you can check out my website, which is now carrying optics, and I am following all map restrictions. On top of that, for the uppers on my website, they've all been switched to build to order, so I'm still going to have quick ship items that you don't have to wait at all. But if you don't want to wait months and months for something to come back in stock, you can go ahead and buy it right now, and I'll get it to you in about 2 to 3 weeks. Now, full disclosure on this upper is that I got it from Delta Team Tactical for free. They asked me if I wanted to test something out, and this is the option I selected. Now, a word on DTT, if you aren't familiar with them, is that they are essentially a parts company. They take, in most cases, the cheapest possible parts they can find, whether it's for ARs, Glocks, or 320s, or whatever it may be. They are usually very, very cheap parts put into cheap builds. This is definitely a profit by volume approach, and when taking that approach, QC is usually the first thing to go. At one point, they sent me a rifle that was never supposed to be sent out for actual use, and of course the gas block, handguard, and barrel nut came loose during my testing. Now, to be fair to them, their response was exactly what I would want to see from a company that makes a mistake, and supposedly checks have been put in place to make sure that sort of thing doesn't happen again. Only time will tell on that, because I am just one guy with a sample size of 1, and spoiler alert, this upper was actually put together as it should be. Getting into the basics of the Warship upper, this is a 6-inch 9mm utilizing the Arrow EPC9 upper that includes a last round bolt hold open integrated into the upper receiver, which is one of the main reasons why I got this upper kit, is that the Arrow upper is actually really good and sometimes hard to find. This kit came with a 7-inch M-LOK rail, though only the rear 2 slots of M-LOK are actually usable because the flash can that fits very nicely underneath the rail. The rail itself is simple enough and utilizes a clamp only designed to hold it to the barrel nut. While not the most confidence-inspiring for an AR9, which is basically a clown gun to begin with, I'm not that bothered. For the barrel, I'm not sure who the OEM is, but it looks nice enough. It's a 4150 black nitride affair, and while technically a lightweight profile, you don't need much to get an accurate AR9. This one is threaded half by 36, so you don't accidentally thread on your 5.56 muzzle device and perform an at-home colonoscopy on your flash hider. The BCG they included is a heavy 9mm BCG, which is required for blowback 9mm or any blowback design for the most part. This one does have a removable weight in the back end, so you technically could tune it if you wanted to. I am using the upper with a EPC9 SBR lower that takes Glock mags. In theory, this upper receiver is also compatible with Colt style lower receivers if you really wanted to deal with the extra headache for some reason. Now, when it comes to the charging handle, they included a mil-spec-ish mystery meat one that I changed out for a Break Warhammer Micro. Getting into function, keep in mind that they assembled and test fired it, which is an option that you can select on their website. Now, quick tangent on the Delta Team Tactical website, you can choose to get your parts kit in 3 different ways. Unassembled, which is what I would recommend for most people that enjoy building their own stuff and have an above room temperature IQ. Assembled, which is, as the name implies, means someone at Delta Team Tactical will give it the old college try. And the third option, which is to have them assemble and test fire it, which does come in at a steep upcharge. But they gotta pay for their employees' hazard pay somehow, so the extra cost is understandable. Now, as I mentioned, mine was assembled and test fired, and it did come with a nice little baggie of spent shell casing, which is a nice touch. Getting back to function, I believe we had 100% reliability out of the upper receiver outside of some of my poor magazine choices, giving me a couple issues here and there. I have actually had this for a long time and put probably near 1,000 rounds of ammo through it, anything from 115 grain Tula all the way up to 147 grain subs. The only issue you could say that I had with it was with some 124 grain Callaway hollow point match ammunition, where the bullet got compressed into the case when it didn't feed properly. Now, I haven't had any issues with that ammo in my Glock, but that's a Glock, so maybe this one doesn't quite feed hollow points as nice as you would like. but overall reliability was very good. Now, when tuning blowback guns, it ends up being an exercise in futility more times than not. You have more mass reciprocating very quickly with no delay mechanism, and without a gas system to tune, you are out of your best tuning method and left with just playing with weights and springs. Essentially, with a blowback 9mm, ammo is the most important factor. Barrel length could have some effect with additional back pressure on a longer barrel, but ammo is key. With weaker ammo, you might be able to get away with a slightly lighter bolt and therefore less felt recoil, but then you might run into safety issues if you run hotter ammo. In my system, since I'm running an eclectic variety of ammo, I am not messing with the bolt weight at all and tuning simply with buffer weights in the back. Currently, I am running a huge 9-ounce buffer that is both longer and heavier than a standard buffer. With the additional weight, it does slow down the BCG somewhat enough to be tolerable, and with the additional length, it short strokes the system. Most of you are probably used to that anyways, but with the shorter cycle, the BCG doesn't travel as far and the spring has less time to do its job. I may look into other systems in the future. I have been using this for a while, and there are certain applications that it works well in, but with this upper specifically, it does end up being pretty jumpy and not all that pleasant to shoot. But if you have any recommendations on different buffer systems to more effectively tune the recoil on 9mm, go ahead and let me know, because I would actually be interested in trying some out. Now, touching on accuracy quickly, it will keep about a fist-sized group at 50 yards with cheap ball ammo, so I don't know if you can ask for much more than that. It's certainly capable of making hits out to 200 yards. I'm not saying that those hits would be particularly effective, but it is capable. Now, bringing it back to value, some of these 9mm kits, depending on part selection, so on and so forth, unassembled start at around $200 and then work up from there. Now, that is of course for the unassembled options. Price will go up if you want them to assemble it, so do I think this can be a good value? Yes, if you enjoy building out ARs and you don't want to do the work scouring the internet for the cheapest parts you can slap together and get an upper that technically functions. This can make for a fun afternoon and a cheap beater gun that you end up selling off to your unsuspecting brother, who one day has an out-of-battery detonation and now talks with a lisp. For serious use, I would say no, AR9s really don't do that role all that well. They can be a fun training gun, a fun competition gun, very cheap to shoot, so on and so forth, but for serious applications, I don't think they fit the bill, and I'll probably eventually have a video on that subject. But if you're already into AR9s for serious use, you probably have an unhealthy amount of clown makeup lying around anyways, so you go ahead. It's your autism, and you get to pick the application. But with all that out of the way, guys, let me know what you think of the Delta Team Tactical Warship or cheap 9mm kits in general, if you think they're worth the money, or if you would rather not roll the dice on parts hand-picked by the world's most underpaid intern. But with all that out of the way, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. God bless.